coming at you this morning like this because I want people to see what America loves. America loves that killer look. America loves that 1,000 yard stare. America loves killers at such a great respect, and they hold them in such high regard that they have holidays that are created about these killers, one being Christopher Columbus. The whole story of Christopher Columbus we know now is fabricated. And that if we were to read the true story of Christopher Columbus, he was a killer, he was a savage, he was a murderer. But they still hold true to this lie, this evident lie about Christopher Columbus in this country so that they can uphold this history that they've given us that is absolutely not the truth. They love their killers. Look at Charlie Manson. Charlie Manson flourished in the minds of the people of the United States for decades and decades because people kept that alive. He had fans. He got fan mail. He got women who were wanting to marry him, and all of this. They were in love with this man who had an idea and a mindset to kill and to murder and to rape and pillage. There was a man named I just saw him do an interview. His name was Thomas something or other, and he was a former head of the Aryan Brotherhood. And he had done time with Charles Manson, and he said that Charles Manson was a scumbag at the best. And on his best day, he was a scumbag. But people have romanticized Charles Manson in their minds so much over all of these decades that they created this persona, this rock star persona that he rode all the way to the grave. So many more of the people that we hold in high regard in the United States of America have been absolute murderous tyrants. And we celebrate them on these different holidays that we've created to celebrate all of the atrocities that the United States have been so instrumental in. And then we turn around and we say, why do we have so much murder? And why do we have so much chaos? And why is there so much people who just don't care anymore? Well, you look at what's been celebrated. You look at what's been awarded in our country. When I went to war and all of the things that I did, I got medals stacked up on my jacket that looked like a foreign legion general. For every little thing, I got an award. And so whenever I put my uniform, whenever I put my ACUs on, not my ACUs, whenever I put my dress blues on, and I come out with all those decorations, people will look at me in admiration and say, there goes somebody who really served this country and really dedicated his life and his time to this country. When in actuality, most of those medals on there don't mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. Some of them come to the equivalent of a participation trophy. I was there when it happened. That type deal. And there's so many people out here, if they were really to tell the truth, a lot of those medals and ribbons that they be having on their chests are just participation trophies. But America is so in love with the concept of a killer. We glorify them on the regular, and then we'll turn around and try to say that we're not glorifying them, yet we're giving them all of the attention, and we're putting millions of dollars into producing these movies so that people can have an image of these killers, these murderers, these despicable people. So right now, the topic of conversation is Jeffrey Dahmer. He's coming up as if this is something new. There's something that hasn't been out in the public record for a long time. Jeffrey Dahmer's been out there for a minute, y'all. I've seen at least two other versions of a Jeffrey Dahmer movie over all of these years, from the time that it happened to now. I've seen at least two to three other versions of a Jeffrey Dahmer movie. But now in the society that we live in, everybody's shocked and they're appalled and they can't believe that this imagery would be put before the people. But I heard Jeffrey Dahmer's name in so many songs. I've seen Jeffrey Dahmer's image and likeness being used in so many different areas of entertainment, entertainment. And this is just another way of showing that we glorify these killers. So don't come on here trying to act like you all damn you're so mortified and you just so can't believe that this is happening. Blessings to you, Letitia. Good to see you this morning. Grand Risings. Um, don't come at me with that damn selective outrage talking about how you feel about Jeffrey Dahmer and how the family of the victims feel about Jeffrey Dahmer. They've heard the songs. They've seen the other movies. So what is it about this? Oh, because it's on Netflix, and Netflix is really giving it the light of day, and it's really on a platform now to where the masses are gonna see it, and now everybody has a problem with Jeffrey Dahmer. But it wasn't no problem when Jeffrey Dahmer was in all the rap songs. It wasn't no problem when he was in all of the rock and roll songs. It wasn't no problem when you saw his image and likeness used in different areas, used in comedy routines. Everybody has these problems. Salute free thinkers. Everybody has this a fascination with these murderers and killers. Oh man, I'm losing my voice. They have all of these fascinations with murderers and killers, and they will glorify it at any turn. If I come in the room and I got on anything military, one of the first things they're gonna ask me if it alludes to me being in war, did you kill anybody? That's one of the first things that they want to know. They don't want to know anything else. Did you kill anybody? Did you shoot anybody? Because America has conditioned them to have this fascination with killing and murder. You say, what? You find it interesting that this series is so popular, and you haven't seen it yet. You know what? It's popular because they're celebrating death once again. The celebration of death seems to be what is the motivation and the grand scheme of things right now. You look at our music, that's all they're pushing is death. That's all they're pushing is death. Now we can get into why they're pushing death and this and that. There's a whole agenda behind it. We understand that. But the worship of Kali, which is the god of destruction and mayhem, as above, so below, the whole concept is where it's going. And a lot of people don't understand that. That's why they don't see where these different movies are coming from, why there's always a celebration of death and destruction. You look at every single holiday. Well, I ain't even gonna say every single holiday, but a majority of the holidays that we celebrate are based in some kind of death, destruction, chaos, carnage. Even down to Easter is about when they were killing Yeshua on the crucifix. Most of the things that we celebrate come out of death. Most of these shows that we watch, what was the show? Dexter. Yeah, Thanksgiving. Thank you. Absolutely. Dexter, that show Dexter is all about glorifying a guy who wanted to give people justice. And so he would go out and find people who deserved to really be killed, and he would kill them, take justice into his own hands. These are the concepts that we are pushing on the people, and then we wonder why we see the murders and we wonder why we see serial killers, because we glorify this stuff on a regular basis. It's something that's always in the conversation. Violence is always a part of the conversation in the United States. Good, bad, or ugly, we're always going to uh, exalt violence over everything. This is what America does. When we go to other countries, we intimidate people. We use overwhelming numbers. We use all of this machinery, all of the weaponry that we have, and we overwhelm people and we intimidate them. Violence has always been the key. And what does violence produce? Violence produces bullies. And when you have a bully culture, such as the culture in the United States is, and if anybody denies the fact that we live in a bully culture, then you're the bully. I can guarantee it. If you can't see the bully culture that we live in this country, you're more than likely on the bully side of that. And so as we grow and we're being cultivated in this country that feeds us nonstop violence, nonstop anarchy, but expect us to follow one rule and expects us to live along this one line, and it's an oxymoron basically most of the time. You're telling us to do one thing, showing us another, because the morals and the value code and all of that sounds good, but in actuality, that's not what gets you ahead in the United States. It's been demonstrated time and time again. Donald Trump would have never won had he shown that level of intimidation and that bravado that people thought that the United States needed because we look weak to the rest of the world. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. I'll wait. I got all day long. Okay. So to sit here and act outraged whenever you see a movie like Dahmer, or when you see a movie about Aileen Wuornos, who was considered the first female serial killer, when in actuality, she was being raped by men because she had to live a life of being a prostitute in order to survive out here. And a lot of those men didn't want to pay her money. They would rather beat her up or probably kill her herself. We have a pattern of these serial killers who do not mind killing prostitutes. And so to believe that Eileen Wuornos was protecting herself from these savages is not far-fetched, but the world did not want that. They wanted her to be the very first female serial killer, and so that's exactly what they painted her out to be, because they love killers. And there wasn't a balance in the killers. There was more men killers, and it was primarily a man thing. So whenever you profile the killer, most of the time you was gonna come up with a male, until Eileen Wuornos. Well, now she's become the cover girl for female serial killers, when in actuality, she was not the first female serial killer. You have women queens and things like that back in the day who were absolute serial killers. There was one, she would bathe herself in the blood of the people that she killed. We had, I can't even remember the lady's name who used to murder babies. So there's many, many out there, but America had to have that balance because it was all male serial killers up to that point. But my whole point is this: stop acting like we're so outraged whenever we see stuff like this, because this is something that you indulge in every single day. You're always looking at the hero movies where they go and slay 50,000 of the enemy. Well, just because they are not on your side, don't make that person he's a bad guy to them. The one we call the hero is the bad guy to them. He's the one who's coming through, killing all of their people, mutilating everybody in their crew who's trying to fight for their civilization and their culture as well. Because nobody's out here just fighting to be fighting. They're fighting for the survival of their civilization, their culture. And so anybody is going to be seen as the bad guy who's on the opposing side. So the people we see as heroes and stuff like that, in somebody's eyes, he was seen as the enemy. He was seen as a bad guy. He was seen as a horrible person. All of our forefathers, every single one of our presidents that went into war was seen as a bad guy. Was that picture painted to us? No, it's never going to be painted to us in that fashion. America in any type of war situation will never be painted as the bad guy, especially in America. We're always the noble ones. We're always the one who's going in with a Christian intent. But our actions are far from what the mouth is saying because we love those killers. We love to go in and exert that intimidation over other people and make them submit to us. That's what it's all about. And so the United States is always going to show you these images. They're always going to drive home the point of these killers. They're glorious killers. So prepare for it. And our children are going to get caught up in it because our children are entertained by everything that they see on these social media sites and on the internet and on TV, period. And so there's going to be some children who are going to get inspired by these murderers. Just like there's children who get inspired by singers. There are children who get inspired by dancers, doctors, lawyers, whatever grabs their interest, then that's what they're going to operate in. So what makes you think that we're not going to have any children who are going to be fascinated with death and murder and destruction when it's offered to them so freely? So yeah, some of our babies may grow up to be murderers. They may grow up to be serial killers. Who knows? And does it have anything to do with how we raised them? Well, you ask that to Jeffrey Dahmer's family. You ask that to John Wayne Gacy's family. You ask that to Ted Bundy's family. You ask that to Eileen Warner's family. Not all of these people came out of very bad situations. A lot of these people came from middle class, regular families. And this was a decision that they took upon themselves because of the imagery that they were being shown, that they had access to, and it sparked the interest in them. This is what America does. So when you sit here and you try to say on one hand, don't be a savage killing machine, but on the other hand, every person that comes into that military, we're going to make you a savage killing machine. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth, and you're giving cross signals to people. And so when people go out here and they actually dedicate their life to becoming a savage killing machine for the United States of America, and they can't cut that switch off, what do you think they're going to come home and be? They're going to come home and be savage killing machines. Soon as you give them an opportunity, they're going to become that savage killing machine again. Because we're always praised for it. We got a whole chest full of decorations praising us for being savage killing machines. But yet we'll turn around and we'll look at a savage killing machine like Jeffrey Dahmer, who was in the military, and we'll call him just disgusting and horrible. He's a product of his damn environment. He's a product of that behind me. This country in distress behind me. That's what Jeffrey Dahmer is a product of. That's what John Wayne Gacy. That's what what's to do? Alton Coleman. We have over 500. We have thousands thousands of documented serial killers who are a product of the United States. Their environment, the system they came up in, the mindset that they were taught, they're a product of this environment. So how then can we demonize and glorify them at the same time? Which one is it going to be? You're going to have to choose a side. Either you're going to demonize them or you're going to glorify them. Because the only difference between the military going in and doing what we do and the gangs out here in the street is the gangs are not sanctioned by the government to do what they do. That's the only difference. But that's still that savage mentality, that 1,000-yard stare, that PTSD, that loss of emotion, all of it is the same in each and every one of us. But y'all try to make it separate, like a soldier is justified in doing the murders and killings that he do, and the civilians are not. This is the system we live in. This is the society that our children are coming up in. And we have to be able to explain this to them properly, because if we don't, we'll leave it up to interpretation. And when the world gives them their interpretation, your child is going to be fucked up. Seriously. This is an honest, real conversation. I don't have time to sugarcoat nothing. I don't have time to worry about your feelings. I don't have time to worry about you thinking about how I should say it. It needs to be said because people are scared to say it. I don't care how it's said. We need the message. So if anybody will get hung up on how it's being said, then apparently I'm not coming across strong enough with the message so that you can understand the importance of what I'm talking about. Because we're creating serial killers. We're creating them at every single turn. And then we'll talk about giving children privacy. So we'll give them open access to all of this murder, mayhem, carnage, and chaos, and then give them privacy. Respect their privacy to be shaped and molded into a killer. And now we have all of these school shootings. Nah, bro, we're not falling for that. That don't line up for me. I'm not going to allow you to give my child access to all of these fucked up images, and then you tell me that I'm supposed to respect their privacy and not check on what they doing. You crazy. You done lost your mind. But this is what society is saying to us. Respect your child's privacy. What privacy? You don't have no privacy in my house. And I don't care what people say about that. It is what it is. You don't pay no bills. You're not doing anything in this household. You are going to abide by some rules. Period. I saw a video one day where this young girl was saying how when you're a parent and you say things like that, you limit or this and that. Damn it, some things in your childhood needs to be limited. And that's the damn problem with people today. They don't understand what a child is capable of being able to recognize and what they're not able to recognize. And so they're giving children these adult decisions to make. And when these children make the wrong damn decision, you sitting there looking stupid. And now we're going to have a whole nother fucked up generation because you put grown up decisions in the hands of a child. Stupid ass. I'm not going to act like I'm cool with that, ever. I don't give a damn about evolving and evolution and freedom to whatever. Kiss my ass. It's some things that children should not be making decisions about, period. It's some things that children shouldn't even be having to deal with that conversation right now at their age, period. But let America tell it, we should give them this choice. That's their choice. And no, it's not. It's your lack of wanting to make that choice. It's your lack of having to push back against that child and having to do what's unpopular. Then what's going to make them mad at you? That's your problem. You don't want confrontation with your child. But I'll have confrontation with mine if that means they're going to get some understanding of something that's going to, at some point, be the detriment to them living and surviving in this world. I'm not going to bite my tongue for stuff that I don't feel like is going to be beneficial in my children's life. But that's what America is asking us to do. They're asking us to sit back and let them spoon feed all of this garbage and crap into our children's mind, heart, and soul and not do nothing about it. And then let them correct our children whenever they get into the penal system. Let them beat on our children whenever they get out of line and they start to become unruly and uncontrollable. This is what they want. So are you going to give that to them? I'm not. You're not going to be out here beating on my children because you tried to tie my hands when I wanted to correct them. And when I wanted to tell them that, no, this is a lie. This is not the way to go. Just because a lot of people are going this way don't mean that this is the way that you should go. But everybody got this herd mentality now, that if that's the way everybody's going, then that's the way everybody should go, I guess. Nah, I'm always going to speak against it. I'm always going to stand against it. Because America is showing you what they love. They're showing you what they want you to be. They want you to be a killer. In every sense of the word, they want you to be a killer. Have that killer mentality. You go out there with that sharpshooter mentality. You go out there with that no holds barred mentality. All of this promotes murder, mayhem, death, destruction, no discipline, anarchy. But yet still, on the other hand, they want to control everything else about your life. Y'all got to understand what we're dealing with here. It's not going to make sense. This system is not designed for you to be able to figure it out. It's not. And that's why so many people have problems understanding what it is. Well, I don't understand. It just doesn't make any sense, so it can't be true. It's not designed to make sense to you, because if it made sense, then everybody would be hip to it and we would be able to fight against it. Duh. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm getting like facetious and stuff like that, but it just bothers me that people can't see this. It just bothers me that people choose not to see this, or they see it and they choose to ignore it as if it's going to go away on its own. When has that ever worked for us? When has that ever benefited us? So my thing is this, man. If you're going to continue to celebrate these murderers, then don't be surprised when we have to deal with a whole bunch of bodies that's dumped over in the ditches, that's dumped in fields, that's dumped in water lines, that's all over the place, because these kids think that that's the way to go. That's what they've been shown. Yo, I'm about to get out of here. That's all I really wanted to say on that. Yeah, man, this is your boy D-Mac. Y'all know what I say, man. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.